I've been sat for the most of this morning trying to work out whether what I'm about to do is insensitive. Would me swanning online with a video of me using my tarot deck to communicate to the world today be something that a lot of people would see as disrespectful and unnecessary and awkward? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized actually how insane it would be to disregard anything right now that has pure intentions and hopes to bring peace into communities and to people's homes. And I think now of all times we are sitting back and we are realizing what matters the most. What do we need the most? And then when you really zoom out and look at it on a more grand scheme of things, what does the world need the most? This is a global situation. This isn't just communities of a certain type or a country or two. This is the entire world and this is humanity. What do we need right now? And I think that's what I'm taking from this whole unexpected, crazy experience we're going through right now. Like, how many people feel like you're literally experiencing a zombie apocalypse right now? Like, I wake up in the morning and I think, oh wait, I'm still dreaming. And then I'm like, hold on a second. This is reality. This is weird, guys. And more than ever, we are all turning to our own forms of coping mechanisms right now. We are all turning to what we know we can rely on and we love the most. Even during one of the most scariest moments maybe we will experience in our life. Like, I'm really feeling the most for people who suffer with anxiety right now. Like, I think of you guys every day because I know something like this is what we have been expecting and waiting for our entire lives. As someone who suffers so much with health anxiety, anything to do with health puts me in a really bad and dark place. So I'm really thinking about you guys. I feel very on top of things. I mean, I'm, as everyone else is, a little bit like scattered and like all over the place, but the majority of me feels at peace and calm because of this sense of community and people coming together that this situation has put us in. Usually when I'm anxious about things and I have health problems, I feel very isolated and alone and scared, and I feel like no one's listening, no one's cooperating. But this whole situation, as much as we are pushing each other to self-isolate and to remove ourselves from busy events and communities and people and connections and physical contact, we are actually forming closer together in a spiritual way more than ever. And I'm one of those people that feel like there may possibly be quite actually a few benefits from this. This whole situation is teaching us so much about how quickly social constructs can be brought down and broken when we actually try. Like, it takes a microscopic virus to form things which we wouldn't have even anticipated happening as quickly as it had. Like, I don't want to get too technical into it because I'm not a scientist. I can't bring any facts and I don't want to add any more fake news to everything that's going on right now. Allegedly, there are some decreases in pollution already. Disruptions we have made as humans are being lifted for the first time in decades, in centuries. I hear that the canals in Venice are as clear as they've ever been for years and years and years and years and years, just from the matter of how it hasn't even been very long. I'm hearing some air pollution, a lot of air pollution has gone down in China. It's just insane what I feel like the situation is bringing to a head. But more importantly, I think we will take so much more from this situation than just, well, I'm glad we got through it, because I think that this is really minimizing everything that truly doesn't matter when it comes to the crunch of things. Like, we're pushing away the things that are unnecessary. You know, we're learning how to look after each other and respect each other in terms of all this hoarding stuff going on. You know, a lot of us might have been doing it in panic. We might have been doing it and not realizing the consequences of that. But this has taught us more than ever how much consequence doing something selfish can bring. Like, you are contributing to the problem yourself. Like, if you're scared about getting other people's germs and then you bulk buy a load of hand sanitizer, you are causing the germs to grow in other places. Like, this pandemic is making people stop and be mindful and realize consequences to their actions. Mindfulness is something that I went into 2020 wanting to work on, and you'd know that from some of the content I've been making if you watched me before. But the incredible thing I've noticed about everything happening is the mindful aspect. I think that the biggest thing to take from this is how silent and paused the world feels right now. And much like everybody else, I'm turning to the things that help me progress in life, and this is an incredible example to show how things like spiritual tools for so many people help them on their own journey and on their own path. And now more than ever is the perfect time to celebrate each other's coping mechanisms and their own support systems. Whatever people turn to right now, if it gives them peace, it gives them joy, hope, faith, celebrate it. That could be God, it could be music, animals, singing, dancing, cooking, gaming, organizing, drawing, painting, reading, fashion, photography. It's pushing people out of those boxes that we've kind of been unconsciously autopiloting in. Like, it's pushing us into a situation that we're not familiar with, and asking ourselves, if we can't control what's happening, the only thing we can do is control how we deal with it, what we're going to do about it. You know, social media and how connected we are without that physical contact is a really privileged place to be, considering the situation that we're in. Like, the fact that we can still stay so connected without needing that physical touch that, I mean, obviously social human beings crave and need, but at times like this, you know, I think we'll come out of the situation feeling grateful for when we are able to connect on a physical level. And like any tools that you use, like your paintbrush, your pens, your microphones, your guitars, to cope with things, to bring you joy, you can use the internet, use social media also as a tool to benefit yourself and others in the situation that we're in today. Before I go into anything else, I just want to say, anyone who is working in the NHS or just doctors all around the world, people who are stocking shelves endlessly right now, people who are in retail, particularly in supermarkets right now, I think of you every hour of the day. I just want to put my heart out to you, and the gratitude of all the people who are being stretched to the limit right now. How do you show gratitude towards that? Enough gratitude towards that? You simply can't. So yeah, I think that's where I kind of want to take this channel in the next few weeks. And I've really thought about this, because I was like, I can't just straight up ignore it, but I also can't just focus and fixate on all of the stress and add to all of the panic and news that is surrounding us right now. I want to have a balance somewhere in between, you know? I want to make content in all the areas that bring me purpose and give me joy and give me life, whether that is, you know, cooking, gaming, organising, having a laugh with Adam, photography, you know, tarot, baking, drawing, you know. Illustration is something that I've wanted to get good at for a long time, and now is the best time more than ever to do that. I know the UK, at the moment I'm filming this, the UK are struggling, trying to get the government to close everything so that people can isolate and they aren't forced to go to work. But whatever country you're in, please can I just stress the importance of staying at home. Like, I'm seeing so many of my friends still going out to bars, to clubs. What are you doing? They're going out to events for St. Patrick's Day. They're going to the cinema. Like, I can't stress to you how important it is just to stay home for a matter of days. Like, I know, I understand the situation in the UK, and I'm understanding people who have to work. I'm not talking about those people. I mean, they're in situations where they're having to choose health over money and their future over their current health crisis going on right now. I've seen people who are not attending college and uni anymore, even though the colleges and unis are still open, because they're like, hey, my career means nothing if I'm dead. People aren't going to work because they're like, I would much rather have my health intact and the world still spinning than my job. Money's no good when you're in the grave. If you don't need to leave the house, do not leave the house. That's rich coming from me. As someone who works from home, I understand that. But I'm just still seeing it everywhere from people who don't even work anymore. I understand at first it did seem a little bit silly. I personally thought that everyone was just being a little bit dramatic. But then you have to actually realise, statistically, this is a problem regardless of how serious you believe as a person it is. If you have the power to help the environment right now, to help the country, to help the world, now is the time to do it. Like, if you're someone who doesn't recycle on a daily basis or do things that particularly help the environment ecologically, or you don't don't reduce plastic usage, then fine, whatever, go about your life. But if you can't do something like this at a time where everyone's telling it to you, then when are you ever going to take responsibility for your actions when it comes to improving our home? This is all of our home. The thing that keeps you living, you don't want to look after that? Fair enough, whatever. Which leads me to the roles and responsibilities that we all have as individuals in our own lifestyles. Now is the time to take a look at the roles that we hold, responsibilities that we have depending on us, you know, as a mum, as a dog mum, as a best friend, as a carer, as an artist, a chef, an engineer, a comedian. Like, we need to take what identities we hold to move forward in deciding what it is you're going to do about those things to improve the world today, to help everyone at a time of panic and crisis. And so many people are scared and concerned. So many others are stretched to the limit, like they need relief and help. And what can you do with the skills and the tools that you have as a person, as a human being, to make their lives easier? There is no better time than now to look after each other's mental health. Mental health is so important. A good, stable mental health helps our immune systems, and we need a strong immune system more than ever. And that's also important to say with self-isolation. I know a lot of you guys will say, I don't need to self-isolate because I'm strong and I'm healthy, I'm young. As well, we need to think about our healthcare systems. If we're staying in, we're lowering our chances of catching something else, or falling over in the street, or doing anything that will put more strain onto the NHS or onto the hospitals that are surrounding you right now that are all already packed to the brim and in complete panic. We need to do whatever we can to minimize each other's stresses. I cannot stress this enough. I think that's all I have to say. I'm not going to add anything new to the table, to be honest. I'm not a scientist. I don't have crazy facts to pull out of nowhere, and I'm not going to do that. I'm just here, and as a YouTuber, my role, and I feel like my responsibility, is to entertain on a day-to-day basis. Like, that's what I feel like I do anyway, without all of this nonsense going on. So I want to take my role as someone who uses a platform and has the benefit and the blessing of a platform to raise each other's spirits in a time of need, feel distracted, and take a step away from what I would usually say is the daily grind. And that's what I feel like I try and do on this YouTube channel. But in today's case, it's taking a step away from all that manic stuff going on, and people are staying home more than ever. Like, we need content. YouTube creators out there, if you're listening, make stuff, create stuff. In fact, you don't even need to be YouTube content creators. Anyone who has an Instagram, a Facebook page, a TikTok, like, there's so many social media platforms out there right now, and I'm telling you, now is the best time more than ever to connect with people online. I've always believed in that since I was a kid and I found the internet. I thought it was an incredible thing to be able to do. But now I feel like this will wake people up and say, let's help each other out. That's on a more entertainment side, of course. But on a more physical level right now, I cannot stress the importance of simply just posting letters in your neighbours' letterboxes and letting them know, particularly the ones that live on their own, right? You guys might take the people who you live with for granted in knowing that if you become ill, someone can just pop down the road and get things and supplies and stuff, but those people don't have that. And even if you focus on one lady or gentleman in your street who lives on their own and offer them support if they need it, just let them know that you're there. You might not even end up needing to help them, but that's one person's mental health that you have brought back down into peace and calm, and that's all we can do right now. And I think one of the wonderful things we can take from this also is that I've heard so many of my friends and my family hearing positive words from other people in their lives. Like, we are opening up to each other more than ever. We're thinking of all the things that we didn't say during the general hustle and bustle of life and when things are busy. And you know what, you see it in movies. When tragic things happen, everyone opens up and love starts coming out more, and we talk about how much we appreciate each other or how much we miss each other that we see all the time usually, and we can't right now because we're self-isolating, or just general like words of love and affection. I think that's beautiful at a time like this. I know it's an odd thing to say that I'm seeing joy and beauty from such a terrible situation, but honestly I feel like that's the best we can do right now. Well, I'd like to think that my channel can keep lifting spirits and keep that positive buzz. I wanted that to be why I whipped my deck out, and I wanted to show how tarot can work in those same ways, how turning to tarot in situations where I'm confused about where we move forward, how do I go about things differently. Tarot is a really good way to throw a fresh perspective on things, and particularly those of you who believe in tarot as like a divine tool, we believe that it connects to angels and guides who know their shit, know what to do, how to deal with things in a calm and rational way. In a less spiritual way, you know, people see tarot as the same thing as going to see a best friend, having a chat over coffee or dinner, and getting them to throw their fresh perspective on your situation and your story and what's going on. You know, you meet up with your best pal and you're like, look, this happened, that happened, I don't know what to do, I'm really nervous, scared, anxious, and you tell your best friend, your family members stuff because you want to hear a fresh perspective on the situation. You want to hear what they can bring to the table which you may not have thought about before, and that's the exact same as what a lot of people believe tarot does. And I thought it might be interesting to see if the cards have any useful pieces of wisdom to bring us today, to bring humanity and to bring Earth. When it boils down to it, we are all we have got. Like, we are all that is left. When companies, corporations shut down, products stop stocking, and money becomes useless, the only thing we'll have left is each other, our relationships and our connections. The sun going down and back up again. Anyway, I'm just going to end this video with some cards that I want to pull. Let's have a look to see what my lovely deck wants to say. And this is the Modern Witch Tarot by Lisa Sterl. Link in the video description as always. If you're leaving the video here, I just want to say stay safe, look out for one another, and be the person that you want everyone else to be. If you don't want other people to hoard, don't set that example. If you want everyone to look out for each other, look out for each other. If you want everyone else to be clean, be clean. If you want everyone else to stay at home, stay at home. My thoughts and prayers are with people who are in countries and situations where they are not closing things down because they don't want the responsibility of paying people, which is absolutely ridiculous. I'm hearing some things about Trump as well, wanting to pay for the vaccine so he can sell it to American citizens. I don't even know if that is true. That's alleged, but also frightening as hell. Card just flew out. First card that comes out is the Tower card. I follow a lot of witches on Instagram and I follow a lot of witchy YouTube channels, and a lot of people are pulling out the Tower card right now, which is very fitting. It's an unexpected tragedy. The Tower card is all about things hitting abruptly and quickly, and it's very scary because it's pushing people out of their usual bubbles and it's knocking people out of their home. Well, I say knocking people out of their homes. People are obviously staying in their homes right now. This is more so knocking people out of their business, their work, their job, their usual daily routines and grinds. And the Tower moment is never a card to be taken lightly. It's always a tragic situation that wasn't anticipated. You don't have to read tarot books to know the Tower card doesn't look too pleasant. It's also represented by a lightning bolt at the top of the card, because the damage that happens to the Tower card is usually done by something quite small. So the lightning bolt is very small and it happens quickly and unexpectedly, but it does a lot of damage, and I think that's very fitting to what's happening right now. Such a small virus, something so small, and some scientists have even called beautiful that the virus itself looks incredible under a microscope, can cause such damage and so many effects. And that's the same as lightning. It's beautiful and it's pretty, but it can cause a whole lot of damage. So this card that's fallen out as well is also very fitting. It's the Five of Wands. I often get the Five of Wands during conflicts and battles and people not working together. It's when people are butting heads and their opinions are usually like just clashing. You know, they're not contributing in any way. They all have their own like opinions and things to say, and they're just not getting anything done. See the Five of Wands as a 5 in the middle of a timeline between 1 and 10. It's in the middle. There's not much productivity here happening. This card always tells me to step back and to assess the situation, assess what is going on, rather than being in the midst of all of this panic and stress and hoarding and people just like clashing and getting upset. We need to focus in on productivity more than anything right now. That whole, phrase of it's not what's happened to us, it's how we act. We can't let something like this bring out the worst in humanity. We need to let it bring out the best, and we need to not get rushed involved with all of this panic happening, and we need to step away from that before it engulfs us. And we get too carried away. Also, something very interesting about this card is two of the people here are actually wearing face masks. That is very relevant. Some of the people aren't wearing masks, so it's kind of showing how like half of the situation people are caring and being very cautious, the other half aren't so much. Some might even just be in the middle of the argument for the sake of arguing because they're just petty. I'll pull one more card out for the situation at hand, and then we'll pull out some advice cards to put this video to an end. Okay, this is interesting because the Fool acts in the very opposite way of how we should be acting right now, because the Fool doesn't think in the future. The Fool is very free-spirited, and at times, mostly I love to see the Fool because it's someone who just doesn't care. They're not bothered. That's not a bad thing. It just means that they aren't too fussed about the future. They have to be in the present moment because they're very much Buddhist in their way of seeing things in the present and in the present moment only. They're not fussed about what's happened in the past. They're just excited about what's to come. Like, they're stepping into things quite carelessly. And I think seeing a card like the Fool with these two other cards we've just had, it's kind of just saying carelessness. A lot of people are being careless. A lot of the people aren't seeing things as far into the future as I'd have liked, to be honest. Like, I thought maybe these cards would come up as like the situation being bad, but humanity being strong and showing great things. But to me, this kind of screams that it's bringing out the worst in a lot of people. A lot of people don't realize the damage that this is causing, and a lot of people might be a little bit naive and ignorant. So let's take a look at some advice. Let's take a look at some cards of advice that we can take. First card, I feel so in touch with this reading right now. I feel like the cards are genuinely speaking to me because these cards are so fitting. Ace of Cups as advice. It's an offer of love. The Ace of Cups is a hand that has a cup in, and the cup is holding water, and water in tarot is emotions. Now more than ever, we need to be giving love, showing love, handing love. We shouldn't be acting like the Five of Wands. This isn't a time to be beating each other up and to stress and to be aggressive and to conflict. Right now, we need to be doing the exact opposite. The Ace of Cups is all about showing our feelings and our emotions, being very, very mindful once again. I mean, I've already discussed this. So we've got the Chariot. The Chariot is taking control of any situation that involves moving and pushing forward. The Chariot is taking charge, the Chariot, if you imagine someone in a vehicle, in a car, on this card she's on a motorbike, so it's someone who's pushing forward in a situation, who's taking charge, having a stable balance. The Chariot is the card of Cancer, the star sign Cancer, and Cancer's balance that they always struggle with, that hard shell that they need to push and to move forward, and also that compassionate energy, staying in touch with what's important, because a lot of Chariot tarot cards, it has people on it that are on some sort of vehicle, or they're on horses or animals of some sort, but they have no reins. They're literally just like relying on the animal, or they've got one foot on one horse and one foot on another horse, and they're kind of like taking charge again to rein back in that sense of control. As humans, as people, we can take back that sense of uncontrollable action. Like, this is something that has happened. It's like a natural thing in the sense of it was unavoidable, and the Chariot is about gaining back that sense of control as human beings by showing love, by looking out for one another, not being naive, disrespectful, not fighting over anything, because that's not going to bring anything to the table. One card's fallen out. a lot of people can see the Four of Pentacles as someone who's holding on to the things around them. So this is making me think of all the people hoarding right now. She's not hoarding everyone else's stuff. She's hoarding her own things. She's got 2 feet on pentacles on the floor. She's got one in her hand and one on her head. She's holding on to all of the things that she currently possesses herself. You know, she's not holding on to 10 of Pentacles. This is just her holding on to the things that she currently holds around her, choosing to be very thrifty with the stuff she has right now. The cards, in the sense of advice, this is saying to hold on to what you have. Don't be I mean, this is obvious. Don't be spending money right now. Don't be eating too much. Don't waste anything. Hold on to things. Hold on to them for a little while, because you're going to need them for a little while. Look after yourself as well. I feel like that's saying, because not only Ace of Cups is about looking after other people, this is self-care for you as well. Think ahead. The only thing we've got left is ourselves. And I think that's also what this whole situation is teaching us and telling us too. It's reminding us how to be more comfortable with ourselves again. So many people are freaking out about the idea of being at home and being more connected with yourself. Like, people can't deal with their own company. And as someone who adores my own company, I do find that very interesting, because I think it's so important to be more in touch with yourself, realize what you are as an individual without your job, without your friends, without your money, and every external factor that usually chips into the person that you are. I think that's the Four of Pentacles is a lovely way of describing that, really, because if you look at the Fool that we pulled out earlier, she would spend lots of money. She wouldn't really worry about what's to come. But what I would like to do is just pull out a final card of sort of like some form of hope we can hold on to. Like, what do we have to look forward to in the future? Wow. Making your surroundings beautiful. The Empress is growth. It's nature as well. So she's very in touch with her plants, her garden, her nature, her home. Empress energy is someone who's like in their element and making their homes beautiful. In my mind, I'm seeing people beautifying their homes, beautifying their surroundings, improving their mental health. The Empress, she knows exactly what will improve her mental health, and she makes the situation benefit her in a way that would calm her down and bring her joy. Being active about the things that bring her peace. The Empress is very peaceful, and in a weird way, this card tells you to look forward to peace, to look forward to stillness. The Empress is also slow growth, so this is a positive card to get, because it's saying like it will be very, very slow, but there will be growth constantly. Imagine like a garden growing around her. So that's the way to visualize the earth kind of healing right now, in a very slow and patient way. Also, which is quite funny, it's just popped on my head, Empress readings sometimes can demonstrate new life because of that whole nature growing and all of that, which is making me wonder whether there will be like a boom in pregnancies and new babies, newborns. I mean, more people are staying at home, right? What else are they going to do? That's just a funny little prediction. I don't know whether more people are going to become pregnant and we'll see a boom in that. That will be interesting. And with that, I'm going to finish today's reading with a final message from my little deck before I leave. And that is what has been wanting to push out, because I kept on seeing this card at the bottom of the pile every time I cut. I kept seeing the Death card. The Death card, if I'm going to be honest, has been haunting me recently, and I couldn't work out why. It sounds very morbid, but every book, every website, every article I've ever read on tarot will tell you the major importance of the Death card representing making room for rebirth. I feel like in a weird and bizarre way, I'm seeing the earth like shedding its skin. And there's a lot of theories I've seen online about people believing this is something that needed to happen for some odd like rebirth. Like, I've seen people saying corona means crown in Latin, and crowning is what you do when you give birth. It's like the very start of that baby's life. In a weird way, this is shaping some kind of future. To get the Empress, such a cool, calm card, ready and open for what's about to come and experience. And then the Death card as like old patterns leaving and new ones beginning is actually rather beautiful in a very ironic, odd way. And to have the Tower card at the beginning of this reading and then the Death at the end of this reading is a really lovely end. Because if you think beginning, Tower, tragedy, damage, effects, and then finishing that off in Death, which is leaving that all behind. The Death card, he's walking away from the situation. There was harm, there was damage, damage, there was destruction, and obviously those are represented as the people who are ill on the floor, and he's just come out of a war. He's made it out alive, but there is the sun approaching. He is walking towards the sun. And for a lot of people, everything happening right now will feel like a new leaf. Something about this will bring fresh air. This will be a massive turning point for so many people. In fact, the death card in tarot, a lot of the people may associate this virus to the death card now, because it's a perfect example, choosing to walk away from damage and destruction and consciously moving towards a brighter future by doing the right things. Because the death card's never easy. People who get the death card in tarot, they had to make that choice to leave the situation, but they can't do that if they're arguing, if they're fighting, if they're disagreeing, if they're not seeing, the Fool doesn't see into the future, but the death card does, because it wants to bring the things that benefit it again. It doesn't want to be in the middle of a battle, in the middle of a war. So a new leaf is coming, and I just want to make sure everyone's staying conscious about the situation and positive too, because I already feel a lot lighter and better after reading these cards. I hope you did too. I love you guys so much, and I will be here. Stay clean, look out for one another, and join my social media if you want, and I will cheers you and send loads and loads of love from my house to yours.